Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over. On Wednesday, May 24th, Pope Francis will receive U.S. President Donald Trump at the Vatican as part of Trump's first official trip abroad. The two men have very different opinions on migration and climate change, so will they be able to find common ground? And what does each man hope to gain from the meeting? Here to preview the visit and give us an insider's perspective is former U.S. Ambassador to the Holy See, Jim Nicholson. Mr. Ambassador, thanks for being here.
Good to see you.
Great to see you. What do you make, first of all, of this overall visit? The president going to these three capitals of monotheistic religion in the world, Islam, Judaism, Catholicism, and Christianity.
I think it's a wonderful idea. It's a very clever idea on the president's part to go to the capitals of these three great monotheistic religions on his first international visit as the President of the United States. Mm-hmm. A great amount of the derivative problems we have in the world today relates back to religion, religious differences and religious suppression. And so this gesture of meeting with each of those, and I'm sure those discussions will also point out, as we used to, and as Pope John Paul II used to, is to say, religion is not a zero-sum game. Mm-hmm. You know, when he used to say to me, Ambassador Nicholson, can we get people to stop killing in the name of God?
Huh. Yeah, that seems to be the message of this visit, or will be. One of the first visits he makes, he's stopping in Saudi Arabia, President Trump is, and he will be hosted by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and around them will be 50 leaders of primarily Sunni leadership from major countries in the Middle East. A good idea? I mean, can he really initiate a reform of Islam, which seems to be in the offing here?
Well, it's needed, and you know, he's an unconventional, sort of unprecedented kind of leader, and that's a real creative stroke. And if he could stimulate them to do that, so that they would, you know, modulate their views and to impede the Mojave, the exportation of hate that has come out of Saudi Arabia has been funded by the Saudis for so long. That would be a great step forward.
Yeah. Let's talk about the papal visit when President Trump arrives at the Vatican. These two men have had words before. We highlighted some of them in the headline segment. What do you think this visit will look like? I mean, there are two meetings, one with the Pope and then one with the Secretary of State. The head of the Vatican Secretary of State.
Secretary of State and the Secretary for Relations with State.
And that will be probably a little more tense than the meeting with the Pope.
I don't think either one of them will be tense. The Pope will be gracious and cordial, and President Trump will be as well. Mm-hmm. But they have some fence to mend, I think, over some past altercations verbally. It'll be a great opportunity for them to meet, to get acquainted, to develop a friendship, an acquaintanceship, and I hope a partnership, because together the sum is equal to greater than the parts, because one represents the head of a great spiritual superpower, and President Trump the head of a great temporal superpower, both dedicated to the proposition of enhancing human dignity around the world, which is made up of people being able to live peacefully with enough to eat, with hope and opportunity and justice. And that's really what both of those sovereign entities are about.
Well, and the White House is saying they will probably talk about human trafficking. They'll talk about lifting people out of poverty, and, of course, peace and how to establish that in the world.
Yeah. Religious freedom.
One of the other things is there's some stories speculating that Pope Francis might convert President Trump on climate change. You think that's in the offing?
No chance.
Okay, you'll leave it at that?
Well, I think the science is so inconclusive. Mm-hmm. And the other irony, and this is a view of mine, and I've expressed it to the Pope, is that if you cut carbon consumption, there's 1 billion people in the world that still don't have electricity. Mm. And the most expeditious way to get that is to have coal-generating power plants. Mm. And it's also a fact that the richer a country becomes, the cleaner it gets. But you have to start out. And so the Holy Father, by wanting to deprive those undeveloped countries of coal generation and rely on these alternatives, I think, is a false choice. I think they need to be able to get electricity so they can refrigerate their medicine and pump water and be able to read at night and the things that are needed to have an elevated life.
Yeah, to build a society from there. It has been speculated, and these are speculative reports, but that Donald Trump may appoint Callista Gingrich as his selection to be your successor as U.S. Ambassador to the Holy See. Your advice to her, what would you advise given the differences between these two men? You were in a fairly good position in that the President and the Pope were aligned on so many issues. She would not enjoy that kind of alignment.
Well, these two people, Pope Francis and President Trump, they can get aligned because they have far more things that they agree on in common that they disagree on. We've covered some of them, but they're the primacy of life, of religious freedom, trafficking, taking care of those that are, you know, underfed and disenfranchised. They share a passion for that, and that could be the beginning of a very important friendship and relationship.
And you would suggest to her what?
Well, so that she could be a great interlocutor, great intermediary. That's a wonderful opportunity that she's going to have there. And I'm sure that she would welcome that.
Very good. Ambassador Jim Nicholson, thank you for being
Always
here for your insights.
Thank
The pleasure is ours.